Hey folks, Dan here with some thoughts on writing. And today we're going to look at poetry. And one of the messages I've been sending in this series of videos is that whether we're writing academic writing, right, nonfiction, fiction obviously, or even something like poetry or music, musical lyrics, they all use many of the same techniques. And we're going to see that today in a poet that you may not know. So I'm excited to share her with you. That is Wisława Szymborska, right? Wisława Szymborska is not known maybe to you because we study a lot of Western writers here in the States. But Wisława Szymborska is a great writer, one of the best writers ever to come out of Poland. So Eastern European and Central European writers, as well as South American writers, are so pervasive, and yet we don't study them as much here in the West. So Wisława Szymborska is a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. I like a lot of her poetry, and I had a hard time picking one for today, but we're going to jump into a poem that is very short, and yet because of time for the video, I won't finish the poem. So I hope I don't frustrate you by that. I hope I entice you to go find her literature and read it for yourselves. And the poem we're going to read today, or at least a piece of it, is The End and the Beginning. And it really is a story of what happens after war. Wow. Very powerful. And I'm going to read 3 or 4 stanzas, and I'll have them on the screen for you. So let's jump right in. And here we go. After every war, someone's got to tidy up. Things won't pick themselves up after all. Someone's got to shove the rubble to the roadsides so the carts loaded with corpses can get by. Someone's got to trudge through sludge and ashes, through the sofa springs, the shards of glass, the bloody rags. No sound bites, no photo opportunities, and it takes years. All the cameras have gone to other wars. The bridges need to be rebuilt, the railroad stations too. Shirt sleeves will be rolled to shreds. And that goes on here near the end. Someone's got to lie there in the grass that covers up the causes and effects with a cornstalk in his teeth, gawking at clouds. So I know you found that poem as interesting and compelling as I did. And let's unpack a little bit why that is. Why is it so compelling? Why is it drawing us in? And one is just the perspective, which is, what is it like after a war, right? Good writers wonder things like that. Good writers hear the birds chirping. Good writers wonder what it's like after a war. Good writers think like that. So she has another poem I really like called Theater Impressions, where she's wondering what it's not just wondering, she's observing what it's like after the play ends, after the curtain falls. So I really like that. And so I think what makes this particular poem powerful is the imagery, right? Very specific, very compelling. She talks about the corpses on carts. She talks about sludge and ashes and the sofa springs and the shards of glass and the bloody rags. I mean, I can't turn away. So think about that imagery. And when you do write like that, think about not only what you would see after a war, but what you might hear, smell, taste, or touch. So appealing to more than just the sense of sight is a very powerful technique. Which leads me to the end of the poem, where she has the reader wondering. She says that someone is lying there, gawking at clouds. Who's lying there? And why are they gawking at clouds? So she leaves us wondering a little bit. So great writers in prose and in poetry don't tell us everything. They realize that the reader, in this example, myself or you, has something to wonder about ourselves, has tried to interpret this poem for ourselves. So we don't need to explain everything to the reader. Sometimes we just want them to experience it. I hope that helps you to be a better writer, and I hope you discovered today a new writer, in this example, poet, that maybe you don't know. And I hope you go and discover her poetry for yourself. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for listening in on this series. Have a good one. That's it, folks. The video is over. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's over. I know, really, it's really over. Yep. All good things come to an end.